Oh my god. No! Oh my god, it's okay. Hold up. Alright, we're locked in. 15 minutes on the clock. 15 minutes to grind. New world. We're looking gorgeous. I forgot to do settings. Okay. Oh my god. Oh, we're back. We're back. We're back. We're back. We're back. Okay. Welcome to. I wouldn't necessarily call this a let's play. This is more of a let's rant. Because I figured I've gone through a lot of various different things recently, and I need an outlet. And I figured, what's the best possible outlet? I forgot that the keybinds. Look at that. Look how quick I am with that. You see? I'm locked in. These birds are distracting. Oh my gosh. I didn't realize how distracting the background of like these mod packs can be. But oh my gosh. Okay, nice. I'm here to rant, I guess I would say, about something that's been on my mind, especially recently. And to add context to the scenario, the situation, as one might say it, these fucking animals. It's not that. It's not that. I don't think I'm going to be able to find it. To add context, let's actually just start this. I recently got out of a pretty toxic year-long relationship. I wouldn't even really say toxic, just it didn't work out. We didn't really vibe as people together. And I mean, I could be very upfront and honest here, is that there were very good reasons why we didn't vibe as people together. And it kind of made me realize, like, there's love is complex in its like stages and when you go through it and all that good stuff, right? And one person might expect something and the other person might expect another thing, and God, it can just lead to such conflicting differences between two people who really just want to appreciate one another for who they are, depending on what the kind of person is. At the end of the day, some people can come into the relationship with emotional baggage, things that the other person doesn't necessarily know about. And I mean, a lot of the times things happen and it's too late, right? And I'll add some context here. Is me and Max now, it's been about a month since the breakup. We had, she had some things going on in her family life, that she grew up with a lot of her own traumas and stuff like that, with a relatively abusive family that, I'm not going to also name any names. The people who do watch this, who more than likely know what I'm referring to, will understand, but that's besides the point. I'm basically ranting to strangers, and this is like a let's play / let's rant. But people come into a relationship with baggage. That's just how it is usually. Unless you're raised in the 1 in a million household where your parents were completely fine, blah blah blah, all that good stuff. But when you're raised in, let's say, a house with like lots of turmoil, things like that, things that are going on like constantly, you're never really able to relax. You're constantly stressed. You could say you become sort of a high performer in your household, but you know, if you're doing one thing, it's performing in a place where you're supposed to feel comfortable and at home. That's not crazy, crazy. Uh, Hear me out, but that's not healthy. Like that is not healthy. And typically where that can lead into as an individual when you move forward. And again, I'm not gonna be like a therapist, say like, oh, I know all, blah 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 blah, all that good stuff. but I know my way around the block. All right, I've been through a fair share of uh, hurt people is the best way that I can express it. And you know that classic terminology, hurt people, hurt people. Um, and I'll add this context. It's like her family was hurting her and therefore made her a hurt person. And ultimately in that relationship, what boiled down to a lot of what it was she was hurting, and a lot of the stress that she was feeling from her family, from external things and other things like that, eventually just trickled down onto me. I would get the brunt of it, and God, if that meant like, oof, I mean, I could get into the details, but just not very enjoyable things. Um, Verbal degradation over time. That's one thing that I definitely noticed. Um, the I had it worse, I had it worse, I had it worse mentality in terms of like struggles, even with people that she wasn't really in like a relationship with or anything. What the hell is that? You know, various different things like that that you can kind of get from having that kind of a family where there's like constant chaos and other things like that. And I mean, I met her parents too, and I'll be 100% honest with the viewers at home. Her parents really didn't like me. They didn't like me. They thought, they thought in many ways that I was kind of childish. Um, and I won't decline what they said. I won't deny any of that. To explain, we were in Greece, and I have a very adventurous spirit when it comes down to it, and that can kind of get in the way of things. Let's say, for example, I'll use an example. We were just swimming in, I don't know, whatever Greek ocean it was. We were in Athens somewhere, like off the coast of Athens, and we decided, oh fuck it, we'll rest, uh, do all this stuff. And you know, my girlfriend at the time was she's an she was an archaeologist. She is an archaeologist. She would show me these like little pieces of pottery, and she would pick them up and show them to me and all this cool stuff. And I'd be like, "Oh, cool, can I hold them?" And it'd be like, "No, you can't hold them." I was like, "Why? Like why can't I hold something that you were just holding?" And then it would turn down to like, "Oh, you're just not qualified enough to handle this things." And then it never really sat with me, right? Because like, how am I not qualified to handle like these precious things when like she is actively picking them up and showing them to me and handling them with her own hands? Like I'm not going to be equally as careful. Like just treating me like I wasn't capable of doing those kinds of things. Treating me like, I don't know, like I wasn't an equal in a sort of a sense, like an intellectual equal. It's like it just felt very degrading, and you know, I kind of just didn't really understand it, and I got kind of frustrated. I was like, dude, like why can't I hold this thing? So this is wrong of me that I did this, but in an act of kind of pushing back, I went and I picked it up myself and I inspected it myself. Was that a bad idea to do? To me, no, actually, because I don't understand how someone else can have the freedom of picking up this pottery or whatever it was from the ocean floor, being able to inspect it, and I can't. Like I don't like being told I can't do something because I most certainly can, and I can handle things with respect. But I remember I got yelled at by her because she was like, "Oh, like you're not supposed to hold the blah, blah, all that stuff." I was like, "Why don't you ever listen to me?" Blah blah, and it turned into this thing where like I never listen, and I'm like, "Well, that's not necessarily untrue. I'm not going to deny that by any means. I more than likely am the kind of person that when I don't know, I want that freedom, man. Like I want to be like accepted. I want to be put on the league of being an equal to that person. So when you treat me like I can't handle things like delicately and blah 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 and all this stuff, and she went along the excuse of, well, like, you know, it's been there for a while, all this other stuff. And these are very, very like precious things. And I said, well, listen, if they're realistically precious, Why have they not why have they not allocated resources to finding this stuff and collecting it from the seafloor? And that kind of tripped up her logic a little bit because realistically, yeah, why wouldn't they, right? It just doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. But obviously, I'm also a big person where like, oh yeah, I do want to still respect the environment and like let things let rest where they rest. So like my thing is like I'm not gonna just take that piece of pottery with me. No, I'll just let it be. I'll let it rest. I believe that. Oh, look how beautiful that is. I believe that in some way, shape, or form, we are a part of the human cycle, and that thing being left there is just going to be left there for some other person to carry along, like the people before it. And you know, crazy too, because after that fact, when she had gone and she had rented to her mother about her, I heard after the fact that her mother told her straight up like, "Oh, just break up with me." Like let it be like with the way that he's acting, blah 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 blah. Just break up with me. And that kind of was just like really unfortunate because like damn, I have multiple people rooting against me. And we were in Greece, by the way. We were in a country that I had never been to. That was my first time ever. I mean, she could speak Greek. Her mother couldn't. All that other good stuff. But like, I just felt like, why, why am I actively like fighting these people who just don't even appreciate me or respect me for who I am? Like, let me be adventurous. Let me seek out the adventure, man. And there were other circumstances too, where like I would go down to see a waterfall and I'd get scolded for going down to see the waterfall on my own. There were other circumstances where it just kind of felt like an oppression, right? Where it was like nothing that I was doing was correct. Everything I was doing was wrong. And it sucked. It fucking sucked because I had to sit there and take it. I had to sit there and take it. And it really kind of made me lose confidence in myself that I even knew anything. It was constant criticisms, constant degradation, oh my God, even in front of my friends. A little bit after the fact, after we came back from Greece, that shit show of what it was. Um, like even with like friends and stuff, they would like constantly put me down to make themselves look better in front of my own friends. Like she wouldn't even have if it weren't for me in the first place. I don't know. Which that isn't necessarily a deciding factor of anything. Because obviously she can make friends on her own, but like even my friends kind of like called it out and they were like, dude, like, oh my God, my one buddy, Lex and Marsh. I'll name them because they're fantastic people, but you don't know them. Uh, you don't know them. What the fuck? It's so stupid. Um, Fantastic people. Love them fucking death, dude. Um, they literally like I was kind of talking to one of them. It's like, yeah, like we noticed like Ken is just Jesus Christ. You know what? Name drop, name drop. Uh, she's just very rude to you. She's probably never gonna see this anyway, unless this explodes and blows off. She's just like very rude to you, just all the time, and all this stuff. And I'm like, dude, yeah, I don't know, man. It's just like I feel like I have a really degrading relationship where I can't really be myself, but she could be herself, and I feel like a part of me was like absorbed into her as an individual. I'm gonna block off this so me and this guy can leave, can live. And a part of me like kind of just like absorbed into her and like I just needed to accept it because that was what it was. Not to mention her family was super oppressive too. And abusive. Oh my God, so fucking abusive. And another thing that would end up happening is like a lot of these things would like bubble up and then explode. And I'll go and name the attachment style right now. Is like I had grown to be a secure attachment style, being in a relationship with her. She was definitely an avoidant. I was anxious starting off, and I needed to go through the hellfire that is experiencing and growing out of an unhealthy attachment style to better suit my scenario with my partner. And I put in a lot of work, like a lot of fucking work to be able to do that and to be able to function on a level where it would be comfortable for both of us. Because typically, a lot of the time, avoidants don't change, they don't seek improvement. And it goes to show too, because out of the multiple times that I did express to her, like, hey, if you text me more often, it'd make me feel a lot better. If you did this, if you, there was never improvement. And whenever she had an issue, let's say with me, it would always be, God, actually, the one time that I did do it, I got books for self-help, like, um, crazy book. It's over here. Don't believe everything you think. I got that fantastic book. By, I think it's Nguyen. I don't know the guy's last name. Joe. Fantastic book. Don't believe anything. Don't believe everything you think. It's fantastic for overthinkers, which I was a chronic overthinker. You know, it sucked. Like it sucked because I would bring up the book to her and she would start criticizing it instantly. Just start criticizing it. Like nothing that I was doing was correct. Even when I tried to improve myself, it wasn't correct. It wasn't a proper way. And like I should have left, man. I should have left. I wasn't even happy. I wasn't even happy. She was vindictive and rude and just very, and to be honest, she'd probably say the same about me. Because I'll be honest, when I get treated like shit, I tend to have a rebellious spirit. Won't lie. The relationship before that, I was very much verbally abused, and you could express as well that I'm probably equally a damaged and hurt person as much as they are. But I think the difference is that I kind of see my faults in that manner, and I'm not gonna say that I was perfect. I was not perfect. The end of the relationship, especially with this last individual, I just dropped the effort. Couldn't keep trying. I couldn't keeping that consistent. And again, I'm kind of like naming off, oh, there's a cause and effect, but this is true. And this goes for any relationship. When you're being kind of just berated a lot, you don't really have the effort to put the next step forward in anymore. You can't keep giving yourself that you don't have, right? And I'll kind of express how the relationship ended right now, because we kind of got the whole blah 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 details down on how it was bad and how I didn't like it and all that other good stuff. But how it truly ended was it was Valentine's. God, absolutely harrowing. It was Valentine's Day. I had decided, hey, I'm gonna take you out to the city, New York City. We live on the East Coast. New York City. I have this place. I picked out this place. Blah 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 blah. I even did gluten-free stuff because of accommodations. She needed accommodations, and I accommodated because that's what you do, right? As a man, typically. And I kind of looked up online. I was like, well, do they need reservations? I don't know. I'll make them just in case. Turns out they didn't need them. Um, I come to figure out she was expecting reservations specifically being made. I was like, oh, okay. I also took her out to go like ice skating beforehand, and just like an all expense paid trip to New York City. And it was nice, or so I thought. I enjoyed it. She went skiing. She really displayed her skiing skills, and I thought it was fantastic. I even have videos of us like skiing together. Well, not really us. It's mostly her skiing. I don't really think she showed much interest in getting any videos of me, which is kind of telling, unfortunately. Um, but how do you make bamboo wood? I don't know. Okay, on 20, I'll make these 25-minute episodes so I can finish this next point. But with all of that, I took her out, and she ended up criticizing the date like the entire time through. Like the place that I booked, I said, "Oh, like I booked like a fancy restaurant." She first thing she says is, "No, it was casual." Um, which is like, wow, an all expense paid trip to New York City, and you're gonna talk shit about my choice of date area. Um, Crazy. Very ungrateful. That's a common theme with this girl too. Just extreme ungratefulness, even when kind things are given to them. Um, God, even in her friendships too. Ugh. Never really satisfied with the people around her, which kind of points to an inner issue with not being satisfied with herself ultimately at the end of the day. And that's just kind of how it is. Um, I took her out. We had a fantastic time. I felt. We went back home. Um, and we also exchanged gifts. It was photo albums that we made. And to be honest, I could have done more with my photo album. She went all out and did some crazy shit, and I gave everything I had left because that's all I had to give. I drew, I colored places that we were at in Greece. I put in at least 2-3 hours of work into the photo album. I made it the night before, and she also told me that she made hers the night before. And she complained about it. She complained about the photo album that I felt that I put the rest of myself into. It wasn't enough. Oh, I didn't get her flowers. Oh, I didn't do this. Oh, I didn't do that. It was never enough. And if I learned anything about that day, is that sometimes with the right person or with the wrong people, it will never be enough. You will never be enough as a person. And that kind of reflects how her relationship with her parents are. Since she ultimately was never enough for her parents. And so she needed to over advocate for herself and do other things like those to appeal, to kind of lick the boot in a way. And it's unfortunate, man, because she made me feel like I wasn't enough and that I'm not enough for even relationship coming forward. And it sucked. My main thing was like the flowers. Like, yeah, okay, I know I probably should have gotten her flowers for fucking Valentine's Day. That's my fault, all right? I own up to that. But to criticize the date while we're on it, to call me out on everything that I'm doing wrong, I mean, I was never accepted. I was never accepted for who I was, ever. I'm a college student, man. Very busy college student who's really pursuing his career. And the only thing she could do was criticize me for for trying what I had left. Who does that to someone? Someone who you claim to love. And you would criticize them for the effort that they're putting in? It hurts. It hurts so bad. Because, to be honest, if this person, and I'll be honest, this person had any other personality that wasn't like the one-upping, constant demoralization, the constant degrading, I would have married this person. I genuinely mean that. I mean, they were exactly my type to a T. But no, it was ego. It was materialisticness. It was horrible. A horrible experience. One that I don't think I would wish on even my worst enemy. Maybe I'll make these episodes 30 minutes long, depending on the rant. I'm just setting up my base first. And, sometimes when you give your all to something and it isn't enough, you're just not in the right place. And it's about finding those people who can kind of put you in the right place. Lock of bamboo. So interesting. Um, you know, life is very fucking hard. Life is very hard. I mean, I've witnessed friends pass in front of my eyes. I've seen people die. I've I wouldn't say seen people die in the traditional sense, but life is too short to be with someone who isn't kind, isn't grateful for where they are and where they're going, who doesn't appreciate people around them and the experiences that they garner, who has that kind of hole in their soul where they're never fulfilled enough for that other person. And I'll tell you about the end of the relationship. And this is the final day that I knew. Um, it was when she had expressed to go on break. And I said, okay, if that's what you want to choose, I'm not going to stop you. And she had hit me with a low blow. She says, I was going to do what I want anyway, or whatever the fuck. Or it's not like you're going to do something. Kind of just hitting me in a sensitive area to try to get a reaction out of me. And I'm a big person on non reactions. I will not react to you in any emotion. I will never raise my voice at you. I will only defend who I am as a character if you disrespect me. And especially near the end, it became very verbally just rude towards me. And, even on the last day, which is the day where the forefront of my entire conversation was, I want to break up. I want to break up. I want to break up. I drove down to her. She lives about 2 hours away from me. I live in North Jersey. She lives in South. And it's not an easy drive. The New Jersey Turnpike, the Garden State Parkway, those are not easy drives. They're long, they're arduous. We'd agreed to meet up at 12. Not 12. Midday was the actual agreement. I get there. First thing she says to me is, "Why are you late?" I got there at 12:41. 12:41 on the dot. I said, "What do you mean? We agreed to midday." She says, "Why are you late?" We agreed to 12. And I kind of realized then, like, it's over. It's over. I I genuinely can't be with someone who has no capacity of understanding. No no like mercy in a way. Like no kindness, no understanding. There's none of it. It's like a cutthroat, soulless hunger for I want this, I want that. It needs to be this way. I can't have that, man. I can't. I need someone who's kind, who motivates me. Another thing is too with degradation. There's another thing that she did, which was, let's say I did something clever or made something up. She'd be like, "Oh yeah, I saw that somewhere online or something," just completely downplaying my goals and things like that because she was so scared that people were gonna surpass her as an individual. And I'll tell you what ended up happening after we ended up breaking up and everything, and where I'm at now. Um, and I'll just goes to show that the universe definitely has something in store for everyone here. And I'm not going to be a gloating person, but we'll continue with this. Throughout the entire conversation, she was hitting me with low blows. I had reached out to a friend when we had originally split, and I said, like, me and this individual just got on a break. I'm so beat. And the friend responded in a very negative way towards me, and I kind of felt isolated in that way. Um, yeah, God, this is getting all my feelings out. This individual had said to me, that's not your friend, that's my friend, which I had known this person longer than she had. So it hurt. It really fucking hurt. It really did. I think I was more hurt about the friend kind of just flipping up on me than actually breaking up with the person. I was actually kind of relieved. Funnily enough, I was very, very relieved to break up with them. I'm honestly, in the past year, I'm the happiest I've ever been. At least stressed. No, I think I'm the most stressed. I think I'm the most stressed and the most happy I've ever been. Yeah, I'll go with that because there's a lot of new things that are happening in my life. We leveled up in a way. Um, and she was hitting me with low blows. Like she told me the thing about her mother, which like you only say that if you're gonna hurt someone. Like the whole breaking up, like wanted me to break up in Greece with the blah 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 blah. All that good hubbub, nonchalant, all that good stuff. Oh wow, wow! I just realized like they didn't even wow. But and I could kind of tell by looking at her during the conversation that she had this like look of malice, that she wanted like something, she wanted this visceral reaction out of me that I just can't give as an individual. So I told her, like, why do you have that look of malice on your face? And she said, what do you mean? And I said, just like you don't see yourself? You're not in touch with your emotions to see what you're doing? Like you're clearly looking at me like you want me to fucking die. It's like, what did I do that could garner such a reaction? The answer is I didn't put enough effort in at the end of the relationship. That's the actual answer. I'm not even kidding. Which, like, it makes sense. But at the end of the day, I can only give so much to someone who isn't really giving a lot in return in terms of enjoyment, love, kindness, the the cornerstones of relationships and all that good stuff. I'm not faultless, neither is she. I'm just saying that there's a cause and effect. Regardless, one of the end of the conversations, I brought up the fact that like she was a fucking asshole to me. She was a vindictive fucking asshole to me, and she had treated me like shit and degraded me over the fucking relationship. And she, shit you not, hit me with the number one manipulator quote I've ever heard in my entire life: is "name me a time when I did that." The thing is that I'm 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 kind of just higher. I'm on a higher level than manipulators. So I kind of hit her with multiple circumstances where she had done that. And that's when the waterworks started coming out and she started crying and all this stuff. I didn't care anymore past that point. I was done. I was done. I could have said goodbye right there and left, but I didn't. I let it keep running, let it keep going, and the conversation continued. Call me soulless, I don't care. I just needed to feel everything that I was feeling in that moment to kind of remember. She made me feel like I wasn't enough, which is interesting because she didn't feel like she was enough for her parents. Hurt people, especially with the issues that they faced in their real life scenarios and things like that. I wasn't enough, and therefore she wasn't enough, and therefore whatever. I I just wanted it to be her. After the fact, I learned that her life is going to complete shit ever since we broke up. And to be completely honest with you, I'm the most stressed I've ever been in my entire life because I'm the most accomplished I've ever been in my entire life. I have a new job. I'm going through school. I'm at the end of my semester. And it's wonderful. And to anyone who's out there listening to this right now and who made it to the end, thank you for listening. And I want to let you guys know something. My confidence may be killed, but it will come back to me eventually. I swear. I swear upon it. But I'm going to leave you with this. Forget about the past. Thrive in the present to forge a future. Please. And do not take any disrespect. I mean any disrespect from someone who doesn't understand you for who you are. And strive to be better than the person you were yesterday. It will be okay. and you will survive. I love you. Good night.